It's one of the smallest superpowers, an island nation with a proud warrior spirit. Today, one force in their army is the best of the best. A Rapier Edge Special Operations Group that has carved a legend.
If you're a terrorist organization, don't screw around with the SAS. They'll kill you.
The British SAS are a tornado, smashing anything that stands between them and their objective.
We always train for headshots so that you got a guaranteed kill.
Prepare to get locked and loaded as we go back through generations of technology to trace the evolution of the deadliest elite force in the world, the SAS. It's time to go ballistic. The Special Air Service, the SAS, Britain's supreme special ops unit. From raiding the North African airfields of World War II, to busting scuds behind enemy lines in Iraq, and neutralizing radical terrorists. When Queen and Country comes calling, these guys don't stop till the bad guys drop. To take down their enemies in close quarters, they use stun grenades, Browning and Sig Sauer pistols, and MP5 submachine guns. For penetrating behind enemy lines, the SAS use heavily armored Land Rovers. Their motto is, who dares wins, and they always win. Now, Weaponology will unlock their family tree, going back through generations of technology to reveal how direct action, close quarter training, and relentless firepower have evolved the SAS into the most feared, daring, and slick of the world's elite special units. In the 21st century, every nation has its own special forces group, tasked with covert missions deep behind enemy lines, counterinsurgency, and hostage takedowns. These units are the elite of the elite. They combine snipers, mountain climbers, specialist drivers, medics, martial arts gurus, and explosive experts. Take them on, and you will lose. But rewind 50 years, and real-deal special forces groups did not exist. It took an explosion of terrorist-sponsored horror in the 60s and 70s to change all that. At the cutting edge, the British SAS.
The SAS started to anticipate terrorism in the early 60s. We knew then, long before Munich, long before the Red Army faction, that we were going to have a counter-terrorist unit.
The Munich Olympic Games, 1972. Palestinian terrorist group Black September take 11 members of the Israeli Olympic team hostage. German police, with no experience in counterterrorism, attempted to free the hostages. Their mission ended in tragedy. All Israeli athletes and one German police officer were killed. This disastrous intervention resulted in the SAS creating a counter-revolutionary war wing. If terrorists attacked Britain, they'd have to get past the boys in black. This kind of counter-terrorism would now need new weapons. First out of the kit locker was a non-lethal device that would become an SAS favorite. The stun grenade, aka the flashbang, a device that could be used in tight, confined spaces without harming hostages.
The stun grenade was a chain of small explosive charges and light, really, really bright light.
You know, in your eye, there are things called rods and cones, and they take in light and they amplify light. What's going to happen when this goes off? It's going to upset those rods and cones. It's going to take in so much that you're literally going to be blinded. The bang portion of this is the oral portion. The combination of the two, the flash and then the bang, are going to disorient bad guys inside.
delivering a blinding flash equivalent to 300,000 candle power and a deafening bang of 180 decibels, equivalent to a jet taking off. The flashbang gives the SAS 15 seconds of shock and awe.
This little device is basically the standard issue stun grenade for the British Army. Like all grenades, you hold the lever down and pull the pin out, and that's it, okay? Then you throw it.
In 1977, the SAS used their flashbangs in an explosive, real-time encounter. Once again, the Germans were in trouble. One of their Lufthansa passenger planes had been hijacked by the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine. German authorities didn't need another Munich. Their task force, the GSG-9, asked the British government for Special Forces backup. The SAS sent just 2 men to Mogadishu, where the plane was grounded. They were Major Alistair Morrison and Sergeant Barry Davies.
A Lufthansa flight flying out of Palma, Mallorca, back to Frankfurt, full of holidaymakers, which included 11 beauty queens, was hijacked. We had devised a plan where we both enter over wing doors, charge up the aircraft, front and rear, because there's nowhere else for them to go.
As the SAS were mounting their attack, the terrorists were preparing to send the plane and its innocent passengers into oblivion.
They had primed it with explosives. They'd actually taken all the tights and the ties off the men and women and tied their hands and legs together, strapped their seatbelts in, and they'd poured all the duty-free alcohol over them so they'd burn quicker. They'd done this to little children as well.
Tensions mounted. Then, terrorist leader Martyr Mahmoud accused the pilot of passing on information to the authorities. Things went from bad to worse.
Mahmoud said, "You've been giving information away. You've been talking to the people. They know who we are." And he said, "Yes." And then he knelt him down in the aisle and put a gun to his head and blew his brains out.
The stakes had just changed dramatically. The SAS and GSG-9 were given the green light to go in.
Alistair and I both threw stun grenades. I threw one over the cockpit and one over the top of the aircraft, which went off with one hell of a bang.
The roar and flash of the grenades did their job. The terrorists were blinded, confused, and wide open to an assault on the plane.
I turned around and I saw the rear door open on the starboard side, and I saw one of the terrorists standing there, and she had a black T-shirt on with a red logo of Che Guevara. The guy just fired for it. She was knocked back into the toilet, and the guy dived in, and there was more gunfire from right around the aircraft. As it turned out, they were all wearing their uniform, which was this black shirt with Che Guevara on it, which made them easy targets. After about 3 minutes, they started chucking the passengers out. I went back on the ground to help organize the hostages, get them away to the rear of the aircraft where the ambulances were. I ducked onto the aircraft, and Alistair had this beauty queen in his hands, carrying her back towards the ambulance. I said to him, "You have to put her back in." But it was a funny moment in the middle of a crisis.
All 86 hostages were safely rescued. The success of the operation owed much to the new stun grenade.
It was the first time stun grenades were ever used in an operation. They worked just perfectly. They were great.
The stun grenade is a classic example of the SAS's tactic of hitting their target using the element of surprise. A tactic that goes back to their very first missions behind enemy lines in World War II, delivering hammer blows to German aircraft.
Putting people on the ground in vehicles to run around the aerodrome shooting it up was a great thing. And they did it very well.
This program is brought to you in part by Allstate. Are you in good hands?